leaving Rotterdam Central Station.
Okay. Hold on, let me put it on here. Yes. Okay. No. That's
Hold on, people.
okay.
You can cross now. We're almost outside of Rotterdam. Meanwhile, I'm taking out my jacket. That's the other side. There's nobody else in the first class at the moment, at least here. So, it's mask over here. See? Good. Just hold on, people. There's the chill, the orange building over there. I'm not sure if you could see it. But... okay. Good. We're at Schiedam right now. It won't stop here. It will go right to Delft. Just hold on, guys. Excuse me. Yes. Hold on. Playing football. Okay. It's Sunday today, so most people are either at church, or they're working, or they are doing nothing with their life. Fistful in the camera. Yes. Okay. Yes, you have those compacts in which you can place those. Still 28%, so it's almost recharged a little bit. Here at my left, this is my left for you in the camera, for you on YouTube it may be on the right. But here's the west, the southwest of the province, South Holland. This is between Schiedam and Delft. And the city Delft is derived from the Greek word Delphi. They just made a Dutch version of it. It's also a city of Freemasons over there, so you know that. Well, it's my day off, as you know, it's Sunday. I've been, how do I say, I've been thinking lately, and the Holy Spirit has been convicting me about some issues, some matters, and fear, guys. Fear is basically, I'm talking about fear among human beings. Fear is nothing more than worshipping humans and demons. Just think about it for a moment. Fear, when you are afraid of someone, you are basically focusing on what they can do to you. That will be a disadvantage towards you. That's all. When you're afraid of heights, then you have more trust in gravity. That in the possibility that something might go wrong that you have in the most high. So every form of fear is basically worshipping something else than God. So every time you notice that someone is afraid, just locate what they worship. And fear also appears when the object of their worship is threatened. See, when someone is worshipping an idol, everything that will endanger the idol, they will perceive as a danger towards them. So they will become frightened when they are, when they are confronted with a reality that defies their idol. For some people, it's time management. We're going to a tunnel now. For many people, it's time management. They are so afraid of losing time. Literally. So they don't intend to manage time. And every second that doesn't appear to be useful is a threat onto them. They are addicted at pursuing gain, pursuing money. Their greed has taken over their whole mental capacity. So they can't think straight anymore. And that's a sad thing. But it happens to many people that have grown up in Western Europe, the USA, and even in Japan and other countries that are considered industrialized. So, by the way, this is Delft. As I said before, this is a new railway station. It's below the ground. The former railway station is very old. It's from the 19th century, I believe, or beginning of the 20th century. I believe they've broken it down, but I haven't gone out and delved yet to see it. If you watch some of my previous videos that I've made in Delft, you may be able to see the construction site when they were still building this area. Well, it's still quite empty here in the first class, and I'm glad with it. Yes, I can still charge my stuff here, that's fine. I've talked about fear, and that fear basically implies that something else is worshipped besides God. It also implies that fear is also an indication that an idol is threatened. So, those that walk after the Spirit, those that are born again, let me say it like that, they shouldn't have any form of fear at all. Even if the fear of not being able to pay your bills, for example, that's a common fear among most people. You see, even that isn't right. Because, first of all, the Most High makes clear that He is taking care of you. So if you become afraid of being able to pay your bills, then you basically are placing trust in your own ability and not in God. And you see, this video is not a lecture, it's just me sharing some thoughts with you. Society of the meanwhile, well, I can show you guys here 8 million people around here. Let me just look around. You see? Stealth again, maybe. It was a panorama view of the area. Okay. Let's see. So, when I see Christians being afraid of the Antichrist, being afraid of the mark of the beast, when I see such things happen, I can't help but to doubt whether they are truly saved or whether they truly understand what it means to be saved. Because if you're truly saved, understand that you have nothing to be afraid about. Nothing to be afraid of. Because... Okay. Let me break it something down for you guys. Maybe that will help. Okay. Control. That's all governments are after control. So let's think about control for a while, okay? It's 40 minutes already. Control. How can you have control? You really can't have control because you can only force humans to do something by threatening their lives. But even then, it's still them choosing to cooperate so that their life will not be ended. So you don't really have control. See? control for human for any other being besides God is an illusion, is a fantasy. So, when you have humans wanting to gain control upon others, they are following a fantasy. Look, in the book of Revelation, Satan is called the serpent, the ancient serpent, the old serpent. By the way, Satan is the only spiritual being that's referred to as old. Something to think about. But let's move on. At the cross at Calvary, Christ is the egg. I just want to show this, guys. I'm not sure if you can see it. Never mind. Look. Satan is referred to as the serpent, and he's defeated at Calvary. Okay, so he's a defeated serpent, a defeated snake. The snake is still deadly, that's true, but the snake is defeated. So how can a serpent that's defeated turn into this gigantic red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and with crowns on his head, on his horns, I believe? How can a defeated serpent turn into that gigantic dragon? He can't. And he's defeated, right? So who is making him, Satan, that's defeated, into that invincible dragon? He's not invincible, he's defeated. The short answer is, we do it. We make him into that invincible dragon. We're the ones doing it. And yet, we have the audacity and the courage to blame the Most High. You see, in the book of Revelations, in Revelation chapter 13, it speaks of how the world will say of the first beast. The first beast is Apollo, one of the Nephilim children of Satan, but he basically gets all this power and authority and throne from his father, the devil himself. So Apollo is basically reflecting Satan himself. And the world is worshipping the dragon, Satan, and they are saying about the beast, which is the Antichrist. They are saying about him, who's like the beast, who can wage war against him. Or basically, it's like people saying today, the New World Order, you can't fight it. You know, the Illuminati, they are controlling everything. Or maybe they're not linking it to the Illuminati or anything. Many people are saying it's like, well, people are just selfish, the world will never change, or those thoughts that glorify the devil, that give so much credit to him that he doesn't deserve. If humans are doing it. So basically, the whole world is terrified of an imaginary dragon. And they falsely believe that that imaginary dragon controls their lives. Well, that dragon is just a real dragon, just serpent that's defeated. And because they believe that that dragon is that invincible and that great, they give power, authority, and a throne to the dragon, to Satan. So basically, Satan gets his power from unbelievers and from ignorant Christians. Satan is passing on that power to Apollo, his child. And that Nephilim Apollo was the Antichrist, who will manifest himself shortly soon, publicly. He has the Illuminati, the Freemasons, and the whole one world government behind them, and the one world religion under the Vatican and Islam to join humanity together in a new world order. But the whole foundation is fear. But what are people afraid of? If the serpent is defeated, if sin, death, and hell are defeated, then why are people afraid of death, sin, and hell? Why are people afraid? The short answer is they don't trust God. They don't trust Jesus Christ. They really don't. And their unbelief is empowering powers of darkness. However, that unbelief gives them the illusions that they are in control, as if it's all about them. So in order to maintain their illusion of having control about their lives, in order to preserve that, they prefer to be in danger, to flee for an imaginary enemy that has no power over them, than to submit unto Christ and have everlasting life. They want to stay young. They don't want to die. They want to have all the good that you can only find in Christ Jesus. And it's a really messed up situation. But unbelievers want it that way. And unfortunately some Christians also. Because they don't want to humble themselves. Oh well. It's charged 34%. Already arrived at the lake, as you can see. So I'm going out in the area. Well, not really. You see, I don't really have to worry about it, so I'll just take it easy. I hope you guys understand the message of my video. Hold on. People prefer to walk by fear because it gives them the power of the illusion of control. Because when you're afraid, it's all about you. And fools prefer that than to humble themselves and to believe God. And it's very stupid, however you look at it. Well, here I go. Most people already got out, so this is the Hague Central Station. Well, let me show it to you guys from here. And there's another train over there. And it's almost empty here at the platform. So I'll have to pack my stuff. I
I might record in further in the Hague. And I hope that my message for the past 25 minutes is clear to you guys. It's a very sad and strange circumstance now. Fools prefer danger than safety, because in danger is all about them. They feel as if they are God. Don't be afraid of the New World Order. Don't be afraid of the mark of the beast. Don't be afraid of the RFID chip. All of those are tools that Satan uses to keep you in bondage. Those things are real, but they're not what they appear to be. They're not what people claim them to be. Only God has control. No other entity in the universe, so don't fear control, okay? Well, that being said, may the grace of Jesus Christ be with you all. Be blessed. The same train I've left is now going back to Venlo. So I decided to get back in, because it will take a while before the train arrives at Venlo. It's still in the Hague Central Station at the moment, and it's almost empty, as you can see. So I'm going to charge my camera here, and let me see. Here, you see those things? 220 volt. I haven't seen any elsewhere, so I will use that to charge the battery of this thing, and then I'll begin to record sitting over there, quite relaxed, almost nobody around, and I don't expect many passengers today either, because remember, it's Sunday. Almost all shops and businesses are closed today. That's an inheritance of the Catholic past of the Netherlands. Sundays, they have a rest day. Well, I'll make more food videos today, so fear not. And well, I want to encourage you guys to take risks with your life, because following a program won't get you anywhere. It will bring you movement, but it won't get you anywhere. And most people live, depressed and boring lives. They are dissatisfied because they're not trusting God. Trust implies that you don't know something for sure. Trust implies a lack of information. Trust implies that you don't know how it will end. You don't have control. You don't have an ability, but you trust that the one that has ability has the best intentions for you. That's trust. And many don't want to trust God. That's why they are doomed to a life of conformity and a life of routine patterns and cycles. Just trust God. He's got you. Well, camera still charging. There are my stuff. And wait, hold on a minute. Yes. The tablet's also still charging. I'm leaving The Hague now. And well, let's log in on the internet, shall we? Hold on. Still don't see any login signal, but anyway, doesn't matter, it will come. And again, the first class is empty. I'm very blessed and fortunate. soon I'll head over there. Hold on. Oh, I don't have to show my tickets yet. It's fine. Still no login signal for the internet, but okay. Well, guess we'll have to wait then. Okay, let's see. Yes. It's the other way. I'm leaving my tablet over there so that they can charge. There are still 2 stripes on the badge of the camera, so that's fine. Okay. That goes into the back. Yeah. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to Blerick and Venlo now. You see, Blerick was in ancient times it was Blaricum, I believe that was the name, and Venlo had another name. There were 2 Roman settlements. Well, not really settlements, there were 2 communities, but the Romans built their colonies over there. It was not a form of, you know, protecting the interest of the empire was by building colonies at the edges of the empire. So, by doing that, the Romans tried to appease their enemies. Well, oh, my tablet is still charging. You can see. So, within a few minutes, I'll check out how far it is, and I'll try to look for a map of ancient Germany and ancient France to show something. Already leaving the A4. So, okay. Oh, good. On that board over there, you can see the planning of this journey. Zoom in. Yes, you can see it on the camera. Here you can see the planning. Dordrecht, Breda, Tilburg, Eindhoven, Helmond, Deurne, Oort-Zevenum, Blerick, and then Venlo. Well, that's the program for today. Maybe soon I will go to Dordrecht and some of those other small cities to record. There ain't really much to see over there. Well, they do have beautiful church buildings, and they do have beautiful markets and bridges, but there ain't really much diversity here in the Netherlands, especially when it comes to architecture. They're checking for the ticket, so I'll need to show mine. So, The Hague, Rotterdam, Amsterdam, and Utrecht Those are basically the modern place in Holland. You see, which is quite similar to other cities like London, New York, you name it. The only thing is the economy of the Netherlands at this moment is not a 24 hours economy. So most shops and businesses close around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock. And supermarkets traditionally close around 8 o'clock. So if you need to go shopping to get some groceries, then after dinner time is about around 6 o'clock. After dinner time, about 7 o'clock, you can still go to the supermarket. You still have 1 hour to get your latest items for the next day or the rest of the week. In Japan, you see, you have those convenience stores. Those are basically supermarkets that also have a small pharmacy section and they're open 24/7. Thanks. And Japan has a 24/7 economy, so you can get your groceries or get some food or whatever you need for your daily needs any time of the day. And that's why the country is more modern than when you compare to the Netherlands. The Netherlands is, we were going to say, a modern country, but it's still a stagnation. It can be made better, but you know, there's also a culture of sloth around here. Sloth, I mean, of laziness. See, the attitude there is, if it works, why improve it? Which is the same attitude the ancient Romans had. And that's why their empire collapsed very tragically. Well, I'm going to check out on my tablet over there. Let's see how far it is. 36%. Well, it's enough for now. Let's see. First, I need to find a way to log in on the internet. And guys, I want to talk about forgiveness also, right? Very quickly. Because life without forgiveness is unbearable. That's how it works in the Netherlands right now. Click here and yes, I'm connected to the internet. I want to check one thing out. I need to charge this very soon. This battery is only once right now. No new messages. Okay. Okay, let me look for a map if I have one on my tablet. And about forgiveness. Without forgiveness, life is unbearable. So what do a lot of people do? They forget, or they minimize, or they brainwash themselves by proving what else happens to them. But that's not forgiveness. You see, I have a YouTube, Google Plus post in which I've explained who forgiveness is. Because often when people talk about forgiveness, they talk about an act. They talk about a process. Okay? But forgiveness is an individual. Forgiveness is a being. And that being is the Lord Jesus Christ. No Christ, no forgiveness. Okay, so
if you want to have light in an area, then you need to have a light source, right? No light source, no illumination. Illumination is when you illumine an area that you can see what's there. So you need to have a source of illumination, and where the source of illumination is, automatically you will have illumination in the environment. No source of illumination, no light. The same thing. No Jesus Christ, no forgiveness. It's that simple. Yet churches and governments and also pagans, they make it very complicated. You see? They come with all kinds of definitions of forgiveness that don't make sense at all. You know, check my Google Plus page. I don't post very often up on my Google Plus page, so check it out. You can find my Google Plus page at the right corner of this YouTube channel, and you just have to click on it. So, got it? So you have to click on it, and you'll see it over there. I found a map, not an ancient map, but a reconstruction of a map. So, yes. I need to wait for a moment. The image is a little bit pixelated still. Okay. I hope this is visible for the camera. Yeah, it's visible enough. In the late phase of the Roman Empire, this area, which was called today's is named the Netherlands. This area was called Germania Secunda, Second Germany. Before the 3rd century, it was called Germania Inferior, Small Germany, Inferior Germany, because it ends at the Rhine River, near the ocean, near the Germanic Ocean, which today we call the North Sea. Now, this over here was an important road that the Greeks and Romans have built in cooperation with the local populations. So you had some Roman settlements over here, which today we call Friesland. And so the Romans built a road from ancient Friesland over here at the Flavo lake. They've built a settlement, a road over here, then a whole road from here to one of their castles over here. They built a bridge and they divided the road in 2 parts. And before in 3 parts was also a road that follows the end of the upper Rhine River over here. No, it's the northern border, the Rhine River. This river still exists today, but it's not often used. So, where I'm going now is I'm going to this place. Today it's called Biaricum. It was called in ancient times, an important city, and yet another city besides it, which that city today we call Venlo. And at the moment I'm around here, you see, and the train will have to go all the way down here and to here. See? It's a little other part of the map. You can see it clearly. Well, I've shown you guys this map, and I want you guys to think about something. This train now, it travels with a speed of about around
80 kilometers an hour at the moment, I think, or yes, 80 kilometers an hour. And to go from The Hague all the way to Blerick and Venlo, it takes around, well, I left here, I left The Hague around 100, about 3 o'clock. It's 15:16 now, and I'll arrive at Blerick at 17:07. So that's about 2 hours and 7 minutes. But I'm just say 2 hours and 10 minutes. Let's say that you had to travel that distance back in the former ages with horses and chariots. It might have taken you about 5 or 8 hours maybe. Because remember, horses need to rest also, and horses need to eat. They need to poo, they need to do all of that. They're animals, so you need to, and horses were quite expensive. Which brings me to another point. Because guys, I'm not a teacher like the academics who make, I say it, I do not work with a certain method. I let the Holy Spirit guide me what I'm saying. And you know, I'm going to move over there to charge this thing. So come, dit Schiedam again. Some familiar buildings. I've used these buildings on video before, if you remember. And by the way, this thing will not stop at Schiedam, so over here. Now I can both charge my tablet and the camera. That's an old chocolate and coffee factory over there, I believe. There's an industrial area right there, and there's also a prison over here with the colors orange, with an orange color. I'm not kidding. There it is. Hope you've seen it. Okay, there's the mosque again. Okay, now move the camera here. Okay. 20 minutes already passed, so almost passed, so soon another clip will begin. Because this camera.
Een hele goede middag, dames en heren. Het volgende station is Rotterdam Centraal. We zullen hier binnenkomen op spoor 4.
Oké.
In Rotterdam Centraal kunt u overstappen voor de richting Woerden. Uw sprinter zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 16 om 15:25. Reizigers voor de richting Maasluis. Uw sprinter zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 1A om 15:32. Voor de richting Gouda, Utrecht Centraal. Uw intercity zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 14 om 15:35. Voor de richting Roosendaal. Uw intercity zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 6 om 15:41. Beëindigt u de reis bij Maastricht, Breda, Tilburg, Eindhoven, Helmond, Deurne,
20 minutes begun.
Bos, Zevenum, Vlerik en met een einde Venlo. Dames en heren, het volgende station is Rotterdam Centraal.
The default settings of this camera is that it records each 20 minutes. So unless I stop it, it will keep recording until 20 minutes. Then it will save the file and begin with another file. See, it's a good thing because it will prevent the SD card from crashing. The SD card from crashing. I have an SD card of 32 gigabytes, so I can record a lot of hours on this. I still have about 306 minutes left. That's about 60 hours. That's about 5 hours I still have left on the recording time. We're in Rotterdam again. There's my jacket. Okay. Good. I'll basically let the camera stand like this and it will record I will record the environment. I pray to the Most High that this area will remain either empty or that very few people will come here. But I believe it also will happen because, as I mentioned before, there aren't many people traveling with the trains to get to the Netherlands. So, meanwhile, these, I'm going to show something. I don't know what this is. Probably something I've received from the Bruna. The Bruna is a store, a Dutch store. It's this little thing. Well, here it is. These are stamps. No, not stamps. This is the wrong English word. These are seals. You see, if you want to mail a letter or a package, they call it snail mail because it takes for a while. Modern day email goes within a few seconds or a few minutes. But as you know, in previous ages, till the ancient times, mail was transported with chariots, with ships, because you didn't have any electronic mail. There are still people using the traditional mail. I do it from time to time. It's fun. And you need to buy these. It's these guys. I'm a little bit confused. In Dutch, they are called postzegels. A zegel is a Dutch word for seal in English. But I also believe they are called stamps. But anyway, you need to place one of these on the envelope and then they will send it. This is basically the currency of the mail company, the post company. I'm posting some letters these days, so that's why I have these. A friend of mine just recently posted a snail mail to Japan. He posted some food, that's why he had to fill in a form and glue the form to the back of the envelope. Well, I don't have to do that. But then guys, I want you guys to think for a moment. Some of you that are older than 30 might remember the time that you needed to post mails. That mails didn't arrive within a few seconds. If I post a letter now in the Netherlands from, for example, from Amsterdam to Maastricht, it might take 2 days or 1 day before it arrives. If I want to post a letter or a package from here to Korea, it will take about 11 days with the present day technology. Because the post office that receives the package or the letter also has to find out where the address is and need to pay people to bring the package or the envelope to the right address. See, so it's a real industry. Even today, it's a busy industry. You see, the post, the mail delivery system that we have today is also derived from the Greco-Roman mail delivery system that they had in ancient times. If you remember, the New Testament has about, I believe, around 6% of the New Testament exists out of the epistles written by the Apostle Paul, by Peter, and also by Jude, I believe. And what was basically happening was the following. Let's say you lived in Athens and you wanted to send a mail to someone in Rome. What you would do is you would pay some money to the post office. You'll write the right address down, the right individual for whom it is, and the post office would send some chariot and some ship, a chariot to a nearby harbor, and from the harbor they would sell the package to the captain of the ship, and the captain of the ship would transport the package to Italy, and in Italy it will be transferred to the local harbor chief, as they call it, and he would receive it as a post package, and he would take that post package, give it to the local post office, and from there it would also be sent further to the right address in Italy. The whole process would take about 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks from Athens to Rome, and that's the shortest route. If you wanted to send a letter, for example, from ancient London, which was called Londinium, to see, then you had to wait for about, if you want to send a letter from ancient London to, for example, Jerusalem, then you had to at least expect a period of 60 days or 70 days before it arrived. The post, the mail delivery system was efficient, and it was quick and speedily for that time, for the technology they had at their time. It was quite slow. And so if politicians would interact with each other about politics, it would also take that long. Now guys, I want you to think about something else now. If it took that long to send mail messages throughout the Roman Empire, and this was on the Roman Empire, it was also in other parts of the world, okay? If you lived in ancient Africa, Africa had states in the west and also in the south, but in Africa they mostly lived in chiefdoms, in small tribes. If a tribe in Ethiopia wanted to send a message to a tribe near the Niger River, then it would also take a long time. So if the Native Americans, the Native Indians wanted to send a message from the Mayans to afterwards, the Indians in ancient New York would also take a while. It would take about 1 month, for example. So, in the ancient world, you see, till the colonial phase, till the 1500s, you know, traveling was very expensive. Traveling was very, or you could travel on your own. That was possible, but it was very risky. And communication was, you didn't have direct communication like today. So it makes you wonder, why didn't the ancient Romans invest more in their infrastructure? You see, I'm going to draw something now. And the drawing is not to show my drawing skills, but to point something out. Just hold on, I'm going to put these away. So this is Rotterdam Lombardije, and I used to live around here during my childhood. It was a horrible time, so I'm glad those times are over. Hold on, people. I'm picking up some paper. Yes, I have a paper here. By the way, if you want to check my drawings, you can check my Deviant profile. It's rashido.deviantart.com. Rashido with double D. Wait, let me get a pen. Do we have a pen around here? Or a pencil? Hold on. Meanwhile, I'll let you guys enjoy the sight. This is Station Barendrecht. Now we arrive at the more agricultural side of the landscape. I took the camera off the charger, so now I can fully turn it around. Going about 110 miles an hour, 110 kilometers an hour now, I believe, so that's a bit quicker. But the trains aren't allowed to make enormous speed here in the Netherlands. Yes. That's the point. To draw something now. I'm teaching you guys something, so be patient. sea level at the moment. It's good.
Goedemiddag, het consultation wordt zo meteen Dordrecht. Na Dordrecht gaat deze intercity nog door naar Breda, Tilburg, Eindhoven, Helmond, Deurne, Horst, Zevenum, Vlerik en Venlo. Dames en heren, kunt u nog eventueel overstappen voor de richting Roosendaal of voor de rijdende richting van Gorkum?
Almost done.
Station Dordrecht.
Slijdrecht, I'll go right left. Okay. There's a bridge coming now, so yes, we're ready on this. That's Dordrecht over here. Very old city. It was also a very important city during the Dutch Reformation. And it's here that Calvinism was adopted as the state's religion of the Republic, the United Dutch Republic. So let me place the charger back. I'm going to replace this over here. Well, it's about 41%. Okay, so take it out. Push this over here. Charge further. I'm putting torches. Yes, it's in. As I mentioned before, there aren't many people traveling with the train during the weekend. Anyway, this is what I've drawn, and let me explain it. You guys know this sign, right? It's the yin-yang symbol. At least that's the Chinese name of it. It was adopted in China during the 1100s as the symbol of the Han Empire. And the Joseon dynasty of Korea adopted it also as their national symbol. But this is a ancient Greek symbol, and has to do with duality. And I'm going to explain that now. You see, ancient Greek philosophers, they had this. Continue to watch the other parts of this series because I'm continuing explaining this. Okay, but the ancient Greeks had this system of what they call Theos, which is God, the Almighty.
Voor reizigers die net zijn ingestapt, ik weet niet wie, maar er staat nog een tas op het perron en u bent ingestapt. Dus degene die zijn tas op het perron heeft laten staan, alsjeblieft even snel pakken.
Or someone left their bag outside, so they warned that individual now. Okay, anyway, I'll continue. On one hand, you have Theos, that's the ancient Greek word for God, and this anthropos, ancient Greek for human. And the ancient Greeks imagined that here you have humans in the physical dimension, and the physical dimension is in bondage. So we are free here. Then you had this big gap. And here you had heaven, where everything is perfect, where everything is good. And there's where God is separated from the physical realm. And now human beings had to attempt by works or self-effort to bridge the gap, to undo the separation. That's the thought of the ancient Greeks. You can see it. Every religion is advocating this over here. Every religion. And this is where most Christians get their idea of God from also. Yes, this is the Greek or the Roman philosophy. And I'll explain the symbol. It basically stands for good and evil need to be in harmony together in a balance, so there's no ultimate good or evil. So as a human being, you hold on to a pattern and a cycle that benefits you, but at the same time there's also chaos. And when you encounter something that is familiar to you, you disbehave. So that's why you need a little, the ancient Greeks were telling you need a little bit of chaos in your life to balance the things you can't control, so that you will feel empowered upon the things you can influence. That's what this symbol basically implies. Is basically a type of Freemasonry in ancient times. You see? And this idea of separation goes further than that. And I'm going to draw also on the, I'm going to write also on the back side of this sheet. And meanwhile, I'll let you guys enjoy the sight outside. So be patient. Okay, so you have God here. Anyone recognize this? This is an image that many evangelical churches use to explain the gospel. They say you have mankind over here, and the gap is sin. The gap is sin, and on the other side you have God, who's completely good and he cannot stand us. So Jesus came and he filled the gap of sin so that man can now enter through effort towards God. See, and many Christians adopt this way of thinking and they see it as the true gospel. But it's not the true gospel, because this is a simplified version and a Christianized version of this, which is the philosophy of the ancient Greeks. It's not the gospel. Okay? So, let's say you're a Christian and you adopted this idea. What you've basically done is you've accepted a perversion of the gospel. Okay, I'm not saying you're not saved, but you accepted a perversion of the gospel, so now that impacts how you view God, how you view Christ, and how you walk in your daily life. I dare to say that most problems that you encounter in your life are a result of this, which is based upon this over here. And the thing is, many Christians begin to adopt such ideas, however, because they've been learned this. But the thing is, the Most High tells us to be separate from the world, to leave Babylon, not adopt the philosophies of Babylon. So, look, I'm going to draw another thing. Is beginning to shine. That's good. I enjoy sunshine. Okay. Crossing the Maas River now, and we're entering the landmass that's attached to Belgium. So, let's say this is you. And here, there is sin and death. There is sin and death, you see around here. You want relief from sin and death. That's natural, okay? However, let's say you believe in a separation between you and God. Then it implies that you have to cross the gap, the obstacle. It means you have to earn your way to God. See? So this is a reward this is a mentality that's focused upon avoiding punishment and achieving rewards. Now, turn it back here. No, go back. This one. You're here. You want salvation. You want relief and free and to get away from sin and death. So also want to get away from sickness and all of that. And you're being told you need to earn it to get. You need to earn the reward. So you need to fulfill it the month. Over here. So then you do your attempts. You're making your attempts to cross from here to over here. Right? This is your promised land. And you know that you need to get out of here. So you want to overcome those obstacles to get here. Sooner or later, and to come here, you'll down to cycles and patterns. Hold on. To cycles and patterns, or to law and order. You see? So I'm going to repeat. You want to have your promised land. You want to get rid of sin and death. You want to get close to God, so you believe you need to fulfill the month to achieve this. So to achieve this, you'll down to a method which consists out of cycles and patterns, but we call it law and order. So let's return here. Now I'm going to lay this one over here. I'm going to take another sheet of paper. We'll continue. Okay, hold on. A new sheet of paper. Good, so now you can put the charger back on. Good. So, remember this, okay? When you, let me say this is you, when you want to achieve and you want to overcome a barrier, you use a method which is based upon performance. Okay. Okay, you see that? And that's what you call laws. But because it's based upon the idea of separation. But your ultimate goal is to gain control. Control to avoid harm and discomfort, and to achieve and keep pleasure and enjoyment. You see? Okay. So this is what control is all about. It's through self-effort with the knowledge of good and evil, wanting to accomplish this, okay, to overcome a separation. Okay, so what happens now is that, you know, this is you, okay, because you believe in a separation, you see, and it's based upon your effort, you also have a dualistic mindset. So here you have your good side, your yin, this your yang, your evil side. And now in your mind you separate yourself into two parts. So you're double-minded. Why? Because as a human being, you have the need for affirmation, or basically the need for justification. No human being wants to be rejected, so you want to avoid rejection, right? So you want to avoid rejection, and you don't want to acknowledge that you're a sinner, because that means that you will be rejected and you won't have affirmation. So what do humans do? They split themselves in their minds into two individuals. I have my good side and my bad side. So if you treat me well, if you treat me nice, I'm going to be nice to you. If you treat me ugly, then you're in trouble. It's duality, like I've explained here. And so now this will become your front, how you behave in public, and the other side will be, you call, private.
Een hele goede middag, dames en heren. Over enkele ogenblikken komen wij binnen op station Breda.
So,
Breda kunt u overstappen voor de richting Sertogenbos. Uw intercity zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 4 om 16:10. Dus op hetzelfde perron waar we op binnenkomen. Beëindigt u de reis bij NS, vergeet dan niet uit te checken. Deze intercity zal nu doorrijden naar eindbestemming Venlo en zal nog stoppen op Tilburg, Eindhoven, Helmond, Deurne, Horst Zevenum, Blerik en met ons eindpunt Venlo. Dames en heren, het volgende station is Breda.
praise God. Okay. So this becomes your public life, this becomes your private life, your personal life, or your privacy, which also named personal space. And this is just your, how do I say it? This is your personality. Okay? So sinners split themselves into two, and they imagine at least that they have a good side and a bad side. The bad side is their private, they claim as their private space, meaning the personal space, as their own domain, and this is their public. And in this side they conform to external pressure. Because this whole idea is founded upon separation. You see? Which is also something a lot of evangelical churches and also Calvinistic churches adopted. Catholicism also uses it. And that's the duality. In the yin-yang symbols, the yin-yang symbol displays this. Okay? But now, because there is duality, so separation, therefore also the fear of death comes in, which equals the fear of rejection. That's why people don't do methods through self-effort to gain Eden back. Okay? And that's why this is the individual, this is the ego, or the self, and then they are split into their yin, their yang, their good side and their bad side, and now they're looking for a balance. You see? And this is the idea, and if there's more on the public or good weight, then you're a good person. If there's more on the evil private weight, you're a bad person. And bad deserves beating, hurt, deserves to be abused. We call it punishment. And the good in the balance deserves reward and relief from responsibility. Okay? So this is how the world works. This is how ancient Greek philosophy. Right? Okay. And the ancient Greeks also adopted some of their ideas from the Egyptians. Okay, so look, this is basically the wisdom of man. This is what psychology teaches. This is what the universities teach. This is also what many churches teach. There's only one problem with this. You know what the problem is? It's a lie. It's not true. It really ain't true. And I'll tell you why it's not true. Because this whole idea is founded upon condemnation. Condemnation simply means God doesn't love you, so now you have to look after yourself. Or God is unwillingly to do something for you, or God is distant, separated from you. So you're disconnected from your life source, which is who is God. So now you have to search, so now you have to achieve your way back to God. Now you have to become a God unto yourself to secure your well-being, your security, and to overcome death. You see? That's what all mysticism is all about. Okay? So it's self-righteousness. The thing, however, is that though to Adam's fall, human beings were born in sin, born in separation, we are born dying, and we are born, and if nobody intervenes, we'll become reprobates and will be in a permanent state of satanic rage for all eternity. You see? But the separation is an effect upon us, not upon God, because He's eternal. So without beginning and without any end. And that means He cannot change, He's immutable. So the offense of Adam and the offense of all human beings that came out of Adam does not impact nor change who God is. So what we do cannot separate God from us. You see? What we do is we separate ourselves from God, and the separation exists here. When we walk in condemnation, we are declaring ourselves independent from God, and we blame it on God. And that's what this is all about. That's what religion is all about. That's what mysticism is all about. That's what sin and unrighteousness are all about. All evil simply is not trusting the Most High. So, what did God do? He became a human being. He manifested Himself in the flesh. He was born as a human being. He walked among us. And the sin and curse of mankind, He took it on Himself. He became the curse, and He dealt with it once and for all. His blood is shed at Calvary, washes away all sins and iniquities of mankind from the universe once and for all. So basically, Christ dealt with the enmity between us and God. The enmity that was among us, He did, and that we had, He dealt with it. It's gone. there never was a real separation between God and man, because this whole universe is held together in the being of Christ. So the whole universe is held together in the being of Christ, so that implies that you can never truly be separated from Christ. Let me say it like this. I'm not teaching universalism here. Everyone is eventually saved. No, absolutely not. The whole creation is an expression of God. And the whole creation is held together by Christ, who is the creator. So the only thing that can happen with creation is that it becomes disconnected from God, not separated. And this disconnection through sin causes death and all those other things. And you see, and that's disconnection comes through not trusting upon God. You see? And condemnation is the excuse for that disconnection. Well, by Jesus' death, burial, and resurrection, he had undone what Adam did. He restored all things unto himself. And basically, the disconnection is removed. The sins that testified against us are removed. So Christ finished it. And the working out of it, we'll see till the last day. And we added at the second coming of Christ, the victory of what he did will be manifested throughout eternity. So when you become born again, you're basically becoming connected again to God himself. Okay? And that is a one-time process. Once you're saved, you're forever saved. Okay? But now your your soul needs to be reprogrammed to walk according to your salvation. And that's the process of sanctification and deliverance. You see? After you become saved, you don't try to get in good favor with God, not achieve God's favor or achieve God's approval. You don't. Because that whole idea is based upon the lie of condemnation, that God is separated from you. But that's not true. And by saving you, Christ also is saving you from the lie. But now our soul needs to be reprogrammed to not operate in the lie anymore. And you'll notice that that's the whole issue. Because human beings are walking in darkness, darkness is simply ignorance and unbelief. Because they walk into a separation that doesn't exist, that's why they also treat others with separation. That's why you have all those divisions in human communities. That's why you have a division between rich and poor. That's why you have an us versus them mentality. Unity by exclusion. All of that are the result of treating from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. See, I eat from the tree of life, which is Christ. That's why he manifests. His life is manifested in me. You see, people that are unsaved, you see, they only have patterns and cycles, which you call laws by which they operate. And that's what they're holding on to.
Nee, goedemiddag dames en heren. Over enkele ogenblikken komen wij binnen op station Tilburg. Tilburg kunt u opstappen voor de richting Sertogenbosch-Os. Uw intercity aftrekt vanaf spoor 1 om 16:24. Dus dit is hetzelfde spoor waar we op binnen gaan komen. Reisjes voor de richting Bokstel, Best. Uw sprinters aftrekt vanaf spoor 1 om 16:28. Beëindigt u de reis bijna en vergeet dan niet uit te checken. Deze intercity zal doorrijden richting Eindhoven, Helmond, Deurne, Horst, Zevenum, Bleringen met eindpunt Venlo.
Okay.
Dames en heren, station Tilburg.
You see, and because of that they don't have real life, they have stagnation. you see what unbelievers do? And this is what the whole world is about, all religions, all politics, and almost all social dynamics is about looking for life somewhere in creation. You see, the whole thing is, if they would just realize that they are not separated from the Creator, but that the whole creation is an expression of the Creator, and that the whole universe is held together by Christ, who is the Creator. If they recognize this and be thankful, then that's basically it. When they surrender to Christ, they are saved. And now the life of Christ will flow to them, through them. They have eternal life. But because they're unthankful and because they want to hold on to condemnation, it is this. Because where there's condemnation, there's law. So there's self-effort and there's control. Because unbelievers don't trust God, they're holding on to a separation that doesn't exist in order to have an excuse to hold on to control so that they can become God and they can be the center of the universe. You see, this was maybe a long lecture for you guys, but I hope I've helped some people with this. Because Christians need to get rid of this crap. Because that's really what it is. It's crap. It's not real. It appears real, but it's not. Just think about it. Think about it, folks. The whole idea of personal space, privacy, and separation is to have control. Control upon consequences in reality. So you want to have power over others, you want to have control over others. So that's why you claim a certain area as your own. But hold on a minute. The Most High is the owner and creator of the universe, so he owns everything, you own nothing. That means that all space everywhere belongs to God. So you don't have any entitlement to control. And that's what private ownership, property is all about. It's about having the right to control, to exclude. But wait a minute. When you put God in the picture, and he is not separated from us, from the physical realm, and the whole universe is held together by him, by Christ, then all of that minus that ego, it has no root, it has no foundation in reality because it's founded upon a lie. And well, that's what the world is doing, holding on to a lie of separation. And they choose separation from God to hold on to fantasies. And you know, the majority will keep on holding on to it, and they will be divorced by God from the human race, and they'll spend eternity disconnected from God's presence. They're not separated from him because the whole universe is held together by Christ, but they are disconnected from him. So they don't have life, they have death. Well, don't follow that philosophy, that mindset, because it's anti-Christ. It's not installed by the Lord. Hold on, I'm going to check my tablets. Yeah. Hold on. Let's see. 55%. I'm going to leave it for a while. Okay. Well, you guys, I've spoken about duality and how it impacts our daily lives, and how that it's a lie from the serpent, from Satan. See? Are there any areas in your life where you walk in separation? You need to repent. talking to those that are saved now. If you're an unbeliever, you need to get saved. But for those that are saved, don't operate in separation, because you will be operating in a lie. But you will manifest the fruits of that lie, even though you're saved. Do not follow something that isn't real. And I'm not finished with this, okay? This whole thing of condemnation, it goes much deeper than you think. It's not just about daily lives and everything. Oh, let's go further. Let's look around, okay? These are farms, right? There are peasants living around here. And let's say you have farms. You have a land mass, a soil, and you have human beings building houses on that soil, and they mark a piece of that soil, and on a piece of soil they go farming, so that becomes their farm. And let's say you have a group of those farms, a group of families that do this. Now you have a community, a small community. Let's say you have a community that builds a wall and buildings and whole system over there. Now you have what you call a village or a city. Okay, and let's say you have about 200 villages and cities in an area with a lot of farms around. That area is what they call a country. And in that country, you have people that speak the same language, who have the same descent, and they have a common interest. So that's what we call countries. And in an area, there are certain families that have an advantage over other families because they have a better access towards resources, and they become the royal family and the kings and the government. And then from each farm community in each city, you have a few men that give themselves up to become an army to defend that territory that they call a country. What's wrong with this picture? What's wrong is that the whole earth exists out of land mass, of which 70% is underwater. That 70% underwater is what we call seas, oceans, and all of that. Thus the 30% that is dry is just land mass. Okay? So the land is not separated from the sea, from the oceans. It appears that way. It's one whole. Okay? What humans do is the land mass we divide into sections that we call countries and give names to those sections. And those lines don't really exist, but those are imaginary lines that we make. For example, you have a group that live within the mountains, and those people call themselves Helvetii, after one of their male ancestors who probably was called Helveto or something like that. So you had a German guy whose name was Helveto. He had a few women with whom he had sex, and they had a lot of children. 4 generations further, you have about 50,000 people that descend from that guy Helveto, and they call themselves Helvetians, Helveti, and they live in a certain area, and they imagine a separation on the landmass, and they call their country Helvetia. Then you have another tribe over there that descends from a guy called Aquitino, and they are the Aquitanians. You see, and another place, and that's how you see nations are formed, by imagining separations that don't exist. So every country is an imaginary separation that people are marking in their minds. the truth is there's only landmass. So the Netherlands here does not really exist. What does exist is the landmass, the human beings living there, the interactions and transactions that are here, and the buildings that are here, and the common language that people have, and the interdependency upon each other. But there is no real separation in which what we call the Netherlands exists. So all countries are imaginary, they are a part of the matrix. They are not real. Claim it's real are politicians and the populations that have faith in those politicians. And people are willing to become soldiers and to fight to maintain that imaginary separation. And when you look throughout history, millions, I can even say hundreds of millions of people died to preserve those imaginary separations, that's which we call countries. And for what? It's the same we're all on Earth. Okay? Those separations are imaginary, we're all human beings. We all are interdependent upon each other here. But yet we make so much separations that ain't real. And the reason why we make all those separations is because we follow the line that we are separated from God. Yes, you have groups of people that have different languages. You have different skin tones, that's also true. And they live in different areas, but they're not separated. They live on the same earth, in the same universe. Let's forget about the universe, the heavens, like about earth, they're all on earth, under the same firmament. Some say the earth is flat, others say it's a globe. You see, I personally still believe it's a globe, because there are some issues with a flat earth, but whether it's flat or a globe, we're all on earth. Okay, so there are no separations between areas. In ancient times, they used mountain ranges and rivers as borders of kingdoms and empires, because they understood that those separations didn't exist. There's nothing wrong with giving a name to a certain area. There's nothing wrong with that. But to treat that area as separate, as a separate entity, that's idolatry. Really. So, let's go deeper with this. If all countries are mental separations that don't really exist, that also implies that all identifications we have with those imaginary separations are also untrue. So then the norms and values you pass on to your children that are based upon your identity of living in a country, those are also untrue. I can go very deep with this, guys, but when you go to the root of it, you'll find out that most of our daily lives is founded on a lie. And when Christ comes, he expects us to deny ourselves and trust ourselves completely onto him, take our cross and follow him. Why? Because human beings don't like to admit that they're holding on to imaginary separations. And let's go to a smaller level. Let's zoom into countries. And now you have families. You see, you have a man and a woman who choose to have sex together, and children come out of it, are born. And now the man holds a certain separation between him and the children, and the children have to see him as a separate, higher being than the children. And when the children are growing up, they also do it with each other. The one that's older is in a separate higher than the others. Then go to the community, and these separations are based upon needs, because the children need the parents. The parents can't dump the children and move on. So the children are in a disadvantage if the parents don't take their responsibility. So in the thinking of separation, the parents have a right to do whatever they want to do with those children because they are higher than the children. Because there's a separation between them and the children. This isn't true. But most people are growing up with that, and they learn they have to respect, they have to earn the approval of the parent, they have to respect. And when those children are grown up, they're going to demand respect from others also. They are going to demand power over others also. It's all founded upon separation. Now you have certain words in a language which are taboo words. You should never use those words because those words are cuss words, swear words. Those are just words of the same language, but we separate those words from the other words. If we use those words, then we are going to beat you, we're going to do something to you. And that's that you grow up with the program, and now there are certain words you consider offensive words, swear words. And you avoid using those words because you are traumatized with revenge when you use them. So now you don't use them anymore, but if someone else does use them, you experience a trauma again, and now you want to take it out on them, what you are experiencing here. Also founded on separation. You see, that's why we as Christians, we will have tribulation in this life, before Christ returns, because true freedom is a slap in the face of the world. Because true freedom means throwing away the whole concept of separation, is throwing away condemnation and accepting the truth, the reality as it is. We are all on the same earth. Land and sea are one, and we're all under the firmament and all in the universe that's created by the Most High. And He's the Lord of the heavens and Lord of the earth also. So all space belongs to Him. We are not needed because the Most High can exist without us. It's a blessing for us. It's an advantage for us that we even exist. And that's the truth. Okay? So when you hold on to that, you grasp that, all ideas of separation become stupid, because they are stupid, and then you leave them behind, and now you begin to discover the love and faithfulness of God shown in Christ Jesus. So that's how it is. But the world doesn't want that. The world, that means all unsaved people, and unfortunately also Christians who have a worldly mindset. The world is all about separation from God. It's all about we human beings doing it on our own. The world wants to have separations. The world wants to have power structures, a pyramid structure with respect and all of that. The world wants witchcraft. They want all of those stupid things. However, their efforts to maintain their separate structures is useless, because Christ already overcame, and Christ's kingdom will fill the whole earth. The whole earth will be filled with the glory of God. So all resistance of the world is useless. You see, as a child, you understand perfectly that separation isn't real. But because you're born in sin and you're self-centered by default, you will accept the separation that people teach you. But once you're older and you fully realize it, and it's obvious what you, when the Holy Spirit convicts you, you have to repent. You have to become saved. separation is a lie. Condemnation is a lie. You cannot have any condemnation without separation. The kingdom of God, God himself is all about inclusion. It's about unconditional love, inclusion, about forgiveness. Satan is all about separation and becoming independent. And 1/3 of the angelic beings and the majority of the human race is following that line of separation and independence. And the public school system is teaching us that crap in our childhood. So the public school system also enforces curses on you. So you need to be delivered from those curses also. It's almost raining outside, but maybe it's fine. We still have 1.5 hour to go. For example, one clear way you can notice separation within humans is when they don't have things their way. They automatically separate themselves from the individual who doesn't do things their way. Or when they see something that it isn't compatible with their worldview, they separate themselves from that. They don't like someone. It's walking separation. Hatred is walking separation. Fornication, sexual immorality, adultery, all of that is walking in separation. Walking in unity with Christ. Because the world is founded on condemnation and works through separation. The only unity the world has is the coming together of the world in their hatred against the truth, against Christ.
Een hele goede middag, dames en heren. Het volgende station is Eindhoven. We zullen hier binnenkomen op spoor 2. In Eindhoven kunt u overstappen voor de richting Meertroemont, Sittard, Maastricht. Dit zit zelf trek vanaf spoor 1. Reis is voor de richting Helmond, Brandenvoort, Het Hout, Brouwhuis. Uw sprinter zal vertrekken vanaf spoor 2 om 17:16. Beëindigt u de rijbaan en vergeet dan niet uit te checken. Deze inzet zal doorrijden naar eindbestemming in Venlo en zal dan stoppen op Helmond, Deurne, Borstevenum, Blerik en met als eindpunt Venlo. Dames en heren, het volgende station is Eindhoven.
Eindhoven. This is a city with a lot of students also. I've made some videos around here a few months back. You can check them on my channel also. I still have about 233 minutes left here. Technical University, I believe. Let me see where it is. I believe over there you have a technical university. Or let me. No, that's the northern part of the city. Yes, my wrong. Over there, somewhere there behind you have a technical university. And you also have many shops and all of that. Oh, you have some Greek statues again. This is a very Catholic city also. You know, guys, I'm glad that I took a first class subscription to travel first class during the weekends, because if I was sitting in the second class, I wouldn't be able to do all of this. You would have passengers starting to whine that they don't want to be famous, blah blah blah, and all of that. So that's why I chose first class. It's only 45 euros a month, so it's not that much. So not much money. We talked about separation, okay? Now I want to talk about waste. You often hear people say that they don't want to waste their time, right? Wait, let me try to do it for signature. They don't want to waste their time. What is waste anyway? Look, time is just passing by, so you can't waste time. That doesn't exist, okay? Let's say you want to go to, you're at A and you want to go to B, and B is in the north. And let's say you have a goal, you want to arrive in the north within 2 hours. So now you have a goal, you want to go to B within 2 hours, right? So if you want to go to B within 2 hours and you choose to go to the south, and you went 10 minutes to the south, and then those 10 minutes are 10 minutes of the 2 hours you had to go to the north. So those 10 minutes are a waste because it's in the wrong direction. Why is the waste? Because you had the goal to go to B within 2 hours, and B is in the north. If B was in the south, then those 10 minutes towards south wouldn't be in a waste. So things that are a waste are only a waste because they are not conforming to an ideal, or they don't conform to a certain goal. So something is only a waste if it doesn't match a goal. So, and let's say someone finishes high school, she enters university, she gets a degree, also a master's degree, and she makes a career, and she has a career. Oh, hold on. And she has a career at a company for 10 years, and now she's 30, and now she wants to look for a man. And within 5 years she finds a man, and they have one child. According to feminists and the modern world, Western world, that's an example. She made career. She developed her skills. But now there's another question here. That goal that she had, was it the will of the Most High? Was it the will of God for her to spend all those years building up a career to develop her skills? You see? And remember, God is sovereign and He has the final say so. He has the ultimate say so. Let's say that woman who spent from her 17th till her 35th year to have his career, let's say it's not God's will for her to have that career. Let's say it's God's will for her to find a husband in her early 20s and to have a family, to be a mother and a wife, and to be a blessing to her environment. Let's say that's God's plan for her. That's God designed for her as a woman. Then, if she does not live according to that plan, then she's wasting her life. The world has other goals, and when she conforms to those goals, she will be called a success. But it's God's will and God's word that will stand forever. So if it doesn't match God's word, it's a waste. Literally, it's a waste. So I want you to think about that. Okay? Many of the things we value and we promote our waste. They are basically using the resources on earth. It's basically using the resources on earth, also our own lives, for a purpose we were never called nor designed to do. And you can become successful and prosperous with a goal that was never designed for you, for which you were never called by the Most High. So just think about that for a while.